Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Open Mic here on my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea. What is Open Mic? Well, every day on the John Campea Show, we save a little bit of time for some live questions. But here on Open Mic, that's all we do is just take all live questions the whole damn show. So I'm glad you guys are here joining me today. So we got a bunch of stuff and already a whole ton of questions that have come in live. So let's not waste any time and get right to them. And the first live question today comes to us from Taki75, who writes, Hollywood's easiest job, de-aging Keanu Reeves. Isn't it sick? Like, some people have been talking about, oh my gosh, in the Captain Marvel trailer, they do such a good job de-aging Samuel Jackson. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't see an awful lot of difference between Samuel Jackson, how he looks, and the way he looks in the trailer. Minor differences, maybe, but I don't see a lot of difference. But it would be even less for Keanu Reeves. That dude must drink virgin blood. I mean, I don't know. Virgin blood at the height of a full moon. He bathes in it. I don't know what kind of deal with the devil that Keanu Reeves has made, but he's made some kind of deal. Because that dude hasn't aged in 25 years. It is the craziest thing ever. Donaldo Martinez writes, just sending a quick chat before I go on vacation for the next 3 weeks. I have a great vacation, man. Friends and I will be on a road trip through the States. Well, enjoy yourself, man. Nothing like a good road trip with friends. Nothing like a good road trip with friends. Just stay safe, be smart, and I hope you guys have an amazing time. All right. Stubble McShave writes, do you think the behind-the-scenes feature for the Star Wars prequels or the extended Lord of the Rings gives the best insight into movie making? Yeah, I've talked about this a lot. As much as I don't like the Star Wars prequels, the bonus features on the Star Wars prequels DVDs may be the best ever made. I mean, they give you so much insight and really such a great snapshot of understanding what a technical advancement the prequels were and how movie making was done. It was amazing. And the Lord of the Rings bonus features ain't no slouch either. They're great. I will lean towards the Star Wars prequel ones, even though I don't like the movies and I vastly prefer the Lord of the Rings movies. Honestly, the bonus feature stuff on the prequel stuff is unbelievable. If you get a chance to check it out, make sure that you do. All right. George Costanza writes, regarding this morning, the quote was from the Bubble Boy episode when I fought Bubble Boy over Trivia Pursuit, Moops versus Moore's classic episode. You know what? You even say that now, George, and I still don't. George Costanza's been rifling off a bunch of quotes from Seinfeld, and I always recognize them. This one, I had a hard time pinpointing. And I still don't, even when you mentioned it, I still don't even remember it. So maybe it's one of those ones that I only saw once or something like that. I don't know. Stubble McShave writes, I remember the For Your Consideration days with Dennis, Roth, and Soul. You were the first at what you do. Now you're the best at what you do. Well, thank you so much. And I was doing it before For Your Consideration. I mean, I was doing that back in the movie blog days. Like way back, even before YouTube existed. I was doing that type of show even before YouTube existed, before YouTube was a real thing. And I remember that when the YouTube thing got popular, like, wait a minute, a free place to upload my videos and they serve the videos? What? Because it was always a matter of making sure you had enough bandwidth with your web hosting provider and you had enough like space. And it was always a nightmare. But yeah, those were good times. I remember we used to go over to Dennis's place. I would bring all my gear over there and we'd set up all the gear and we'd shoot at it. We were doing it weekly at the time. But yeah, those were good days, man. The other black guy writes, Old Biff, you always did have a way with the ladies. Young Biff, get the hell out of my car, old man. I believe that's from Back to the Future, if I remember it correct. Man, Biff, and you know what? I just read something. The guy who plays Biff in the Back to the Future movies, he just got cast in something. What I think it's one of the superhero shows he just got cast in. It's going to drive me nuts now, but if you guys know which one I'm talking about, jump in the comment section and let everybody else know. Ben Hayusa writes, just like you, John, I am now in debate on what to see first, Aquaman or Bumblebee. Also, my friend said Bumblebee is like Herbie Transformer style. Well, yeah, not really. They're both VW bugs, sure, but I'm pretty much there the similarities end. But yeah, look, I am still probably, when December 21st comes around or the 20th, I'm probably getting in line first to see Aquaman. Probably still. But here's the thing. Before this morning, and before that Bumblebee trailer dropped, it was 100% lock. I'm seeing Aquaman first. And then that Bumblebee trailer dropped this morning. I'm like, now I'm not sure. Now I have a little bit of doubt. And I think a lot of people are finding themselves in a little bit of doubt right now. Ben Hayusa follows up with, just from the Joker picks, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker has a bit of Romero mix with Ledger, in my opinion. Everything we see and know so far just gets you more excited for it. Well, yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know that I've seen any Romero Joker in it, other than it's a little bit more traditional style clown makeup. Other than that, I really don't see, and we haven't heard him speak. So honestly, I personally don't see either Romero or Ledger's Joker in it just yet. Just yet. I wonder if it might be even a little bit more of a Leto Joker. But anyway, all I know is that I agree with you that what I'm seeing so far is getting me more and more on board. I mean, I was on board with this right from day one, but I'm even more on board with it now than I was before. So, I mean, look, and this movie's still a year away. So we still got a long ways to go before this thing hits the theaters. All right, Subtle McShave writes, do you play Dungeons and Dragons? I do. If you were offered to guest on Critical Role, would you accept? Oh yeah, probably. Those guys don't even know who I am. But yes, I would absolutely play on Critical Role. I love D&D. Backyard Pictures writes, did you ever respond to joining Rotten Tomatoes? I did respond, yes, but here's the thing. I told them I would join, but then I never got around to actually setting anything up. But then I noticed they created a profile for me, and they started uploading a whole bunch of my old reviews on there, which is great. And then I think a couple of days ago, some of you tweeted me that they listed me on their featured critic of the day or something like that, which is great. I had no idea, but I thought that was wonderful. So yes, you're going to be able to see my reviews up on Rotten Tomatoes now. So there's that. Frederico Jordan writes, maybe the Joker images aren't the final look. Oh no, they're because the images are coming right from them shooting the movie. Like, the movie's in production now. Those images we saw are stills taken from video of the movie itself. Now, that's not to say that even within the movie, he can't change looks. Like, maybe he'll look different at the end of the movie than he does at the beginning of the movie. That's always possible too. But even if this is the final look, it looks great. It looks great. Let's see. Ant Banks 1984 writes, rank these comedy groups: Three Stooges, the Marx Brothers, Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardy. Okay, for me, first of all of these are all-time classic greats. So there is no loser here, all right? There is no right or wrong answer. These are all-time classic greats. I go Abbott and Costello, followed by the Marx Brothers, followed by the Three Stooges, followed by Laurel and Hardy. All of them magnificent, though. All of them magnificent. But that's how I would personally rank them. I mean, the Abbott and Costello stuff is, well, the Three Stooges stuff and the Marx Brothers stuff. And, like, I would never be a part of a club that would have me as a member. I mean, like the Marx Brothers stuff and Laurel and Hardy. I mean, you're talking all-time great, so there's no wrong answer, but that's how I would personally rank them. All right. Andrew Christie writes, hey, John, if you have an hour, which I never do, check out Nando v. Movies rewrite of Justice League. It's a lot of fun. Well, I probably won't have a chance to check it out, but you've just given it a plug, and now a lot of people are hearing about it, and I'm sure a lot of people will check it out. So good job with that, man. Sebastian writes, I worry about DC Universe, to be honest. My 14-year-old only knows MCU. Movies are subjective, but he only knows Marvel. The same goes Xbox versus PS4. Ugh. Well, I mean, look, just because your kid only knows Marvel doesn't mean there's not other kids who only know the DC movies, right? Like, as human beings, we constantly make the mistake of thinking that if I think a certain way, and if certain people I know think a certain way, that means everybody thinks that way. And quite often, that's not the case, right? Quite often, that's not the case. So just because your kid only knows Marvel, and I'm sure there are other kids who only know Marvel or only care about Marvel, I'm also sure there are kids out there who only care about DC. So there are things to be worried about DC, but I don't think that's one of them necessarily. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Chris Warden writes, Have you seen White Boy Rick yet? I'm going tonight. Nah, still haven't seen it. Wasn't all that interested in it. I was, then I heard some not so great things about it. Kind of killed my enthusiasm for it, and never did get around to seeing it. So probably won't either at this point. I mean, it's already too far gone, so I probably won't at this point. AFC writes, would you say Will Ferrell's shtick has worn off? I don't think so. I don't think so. Will Ferrell mixes it up a little bit. Like, he does a lot of stuff that's very similar, but very rarely exactly the same. You know what I'm saying? Usually similar, rarely the same. At least that's my take on Will Ferrell. All I know is this. The last Will Ferrell movie I saw, which was called The House, with him and Amy Poehler, and I love him, and I love Amy Poehler. The House was awful. Like, straight up awful. But it was awful because it was awful, not because Will Ferrell's shtick is worn off. I keep waiting for it to wear off, but I don't think it's worn off yet. I really don't. I still think he's got some big. Now, ask me again after Holmes and Watson. Ask me again after Holmes and Watson. Then I might have a different answer, right? I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's see. Sebastian writes, more on subjective. My daughter wants Smallfoot. Well, you know, it's funny. My wife really wants to see Smallfoot. We had this discussion yesterday. Anne really wants to see Smallfoot. I'm like, really? That looks awful. But my wife thinks it looks great. So it's all subjective, man. And you know, I haven't seen the movie. Maybe the movie's amazing. I don't know. I'm just saying, to me, it looks terrible. But that doesn't mean it is terrible. And maybe it'll be fantastic. I mean, we all have movies that we thought looked bad and we ended up really loving, and movies that we thought looked great and we ended up hating. But hey, let's see what happens with it. Stubble McShave writes, do you think we could ever see a Joker and Harley movie in the style of Natural Born Killers, or will they avoid the R rating? I don't know. I think comic book movies are more open today to R-rated stuff because of Deadpool and because of Logan. Because of Deadpool and Logan, I believe now comic book movies and the producers thereof are more open to R-rated stuff if they need to be R-rated. Like, what I don't want to see is a bunch of movie studios making R-rated stuff that has no need to be R-rated. And they're just forcing it to be R-rated. And they're just forcing it into that little box of R-rated, right? I don't want to see that happen either. That's just as bad. I mean, we could see something like that. Maybe, maybe not. The big question is, does it fit narratively into what they want to do? Maybe yes, maybe no. Who knows? I do know that the Harley Quinn figure, though, the Harley Quinn image is one that they like to sell to little girls. So I don't know if you're going to see I don't know if you'll see a hard R Harley Quinn. I mean, I think there'd be a better chance of a hard R Joker movie than there would be of a Harley Quinn. Because Harley Quinn sells a lot of toys to young girls, man. And so I don't know if they're going to jeopardize that or not. But hey, like I said, because of Deadpool and Logan, it's a whole new day. Ant Banks, 1984 writes, Thanos used the Power Stone to destroy a moon, but used it against the heroes to basically flip them out of the way. I mean, yeah, but I mean, I heard somebody debate that about what could be done with the Power Stone, right? And like somebody's talking about the moon. Number one, he didn't really destroy the moon. He took a handful out of it, but the moon is not a living thing. It's inanimate. It's just sitting there, and it can be more easily manipulated with the Power Stone than living beings, right? Like I've heard these debates go on and on and on. I don't know. It's a comic book movie with a giant purple grimace named Thanos and a magic glove with mystical rocks in it. I mean, so I'm not gonna get tied down in the arguing of the logic of it too terribly much, except to say it's something worth discussing, and as we've heard lots of people online having that discussion. Let's see. Stubble McShave writes, the Joker movie probably doesn't cost much to make. Do you think it could be the most profitable DC movie since Man of Steel? It's impossible to say. For all we know, the movie's going to make $8. Is the average movie-going audience going to want to go out and see a standalone Joker movie? I don't know. I know I want to see it. I know a bunch of you guys want to see it, but as far as the vast majority of the movie-going audience, we don't know. And that's the reality right now. And that's the reality that Warner Brothers is faced with. They simply don't know. Is there a lot of interest in this? Honestly, nobody knows at this point. This Joker movie is one that could literally open with $120 million opening weekend, and it could just as easily open with a $15 million opening weekend. I kid you not. It could just as easily open at $15 million as it could at $120 million. I just simply don't know. So you're asking, could it be the most profitable? Well, sure, but you can say that about any movie opening. Could it? Yep. Any movie could be the most profitable movie of their genre, of their franchise, of all of moviedom. They could. Theoretically, sure, any movie can. But with Joker, it's impossible to say at this point. It's just absolutely impossible to say. Let's see. Patrick Conway writes, on Friday, I meant for Waititi or Branagh to have a role in the Loki series like Favreau is in the Star Wars TV series. And which one would you prefer? Oh, I see you're saying, I don't care. I really don't care. I mean, obviously, Kenneth Branagh is the better actor. Kenneth Branagh is a Shakespearean actor. He is the better actor by 1,000 miles. So just based on that, Kenneth Branagh, the better actor. For novelty's sake, which is all it would probably be, I don't care. I love Waititi, I love Kenneth Branagh. Give me, or it doesn't matter. If you're going to ask which one would be better to actually be in the series, well, Kenneth Branagh. He's a Shakespearean world-renowned actor. Of course. Always go with the better actor. And in this case, it's Kenneth Branagh. Brennan Millspaw writes, John, if Joker is a success, always with the if this is a success questions. John, if Joker is a success and everybody loves Phoenix's Joker, does this not create an awkward situation for Warner Brothers? At the very least for Leto? No, not at all. They're two totally different characters. They're two completely different incarnations. Like, everybody loved Heath Ledger's Joker. Does that create an awkward situation for Cesar Romero? Does that create an awkward situation for the Jack Nicholson Joker? No, because they're different things. Yes, they're both iterations of Joker, but they're completely different imaginations. They're completely different incarnations of the character with completely different visions for completely different purposes. You cannot compare one to the other. They're just different things and in completely different universes. I like Jared Leto's Joker. I do. I think it was a unique take on the Joker while maintaining the idea that, that's clearly the Joker, but it's a very different, unique Joker from any of the other Jokers we've ever had. And I think they did a good job of it. Not everybody loved the movie, and that's fine, but I did like the incarnation of the character himself. But even if I did not like the incarnation of the character himself, that in no way, to me, is that exasperated or quelled by how good or how bad Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is. It's a different character. Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is going to say different things than Jared Leto's Joker would. He's going to do different things than Jared Leto's would. He's going to have different goals and motivations than Jared Leto's Joker is, and ultimately just act in a completely different way. There's really nothing to compare. We can talk about, I like this one incarnation better than the other one. That's fine. But, again, when you can have that discussion about Jack's Joker and about Heath Ledger's Joker, and it's not an uncomfortable position for either one of them, because we all know we're talking about two radically different incarnations of the character. And I think we as film fans are smart enough to know the difference. So my personal opinion is no, not at all. There are a bunch of people that don't like Jared Leto's Joker, but I know a hell of a lot of people that like him, including me. So, but even if I didn't, it doesn't change the fact that I don't think it creates any sort of scenario. They're going to do a very good job of making sure everybody understands this is a totally different universe. This is not the Batman we know. This is not the Batman world, I should say, as we know it. This is a totally different thing. And I think most people will get that. I really do. Robert Giacinta writes, what's the worst encounter you've had with a celebrity? Don't have to say their name. I just want to hear the story. Nah, I'm not going to give the story because it would give away who it is. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm very lucky in the sense that I've been lucky enough to have mostly incredibly good positive experiences when dealing with celebrities in interview environments or whatever. I'm very fortunate that I've, for the most part, always had good experiences. There have been a couple of bad ones, but look, there's this one in particular I'm thinking of that was so bad it completely soured what I thought of that person altogether. Like, it changed my attitude about what I thought of that person altogether. Like, I just flat out didn't like that person anymore. But I'm trying to keep in mind, it's like, hey, you know what? Who knows? Maybe that dude had the worst day of his life that day, and he was just in a terrible mood because of it, and I could not possibly imagine what he was going through at that moment. Am I really going to judge a guy or throw him under the bus or tell stories about it when, I don't know what he had that day. For all I know, he's the greatest guy in the world and just had one bad day. I don't know. I simply don't know. So I don't like to tell those stories. And if I told this story in any detail, you would kind of guess who it was. So I don't want to throw anybody under the bus like that. So they happen. The negative experiences do happen, but they've been very rare. And I don't like to throw anybody under the bus with that. I mean, like, I'll tell one in fun, like with Tommy Lee Jones, about how he is impossible to interview because you can ask him a 5-sentence long question, that really deep question. He'll just go, yes. Okay, Tommy, well, what about this? You know, your motivation in here and blah, blah, blah. And there were, you know, that was kind of reminiscent of when you played this role over here. Did you draw any kind of inspiration from that when you're bringing it over there? No. I mean, it's fun with that because Tommy Lee Jones is infamous for hating to do interviews. Tommy Lee Jones hates doing junket interviews, blah, blah, blah. And that's just fun. He's not acting like a dick. He's just, look, I don't even want to be here. So yes, no. To me, that's just funny. So I can tell that story. But I'm not going to tell any ones that paint anybody in a bad light. It's just not what I want to do. I don't mind you asking, but I hope you don't mind me taking a pass on it. Brennan Millspaw writes, also, if you haven't seen Mandy, you really need to. Yeah, I heard pretty decent things, the new Nicolas Cage one. Yeah, I'm also hearing some people saying that it's not good, but I'll definitely give it a shot. I'll give it a shot at some point. Patrick Conway writes, I agree with you about trailers, but should a trailer for Dark Phoenix trailer release soon to ease misdoubt in people's minds, and Bumblebee trailer epic? Well, nobody has any doubt about Dark Phoenix. There are 5% of people who are me and you that we read the movie news sites, we get on shows like the John Campea show to talk about the movie news and blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you right now, my mom, remember, I always use my mom as a great example. My mom's an avid moviegoer, but she is the average film-going fan. She likes comic book movies, she likes sci-fi, she likes Star Wars, she likes drama, she likes legal thrillers, she likes whatever. She's the average movie-going fan. My mom is not one bit worried at all about X-Men Dark Phoenix. 95% of the average movie-going audience don't care one little bit that Dark Phoenix doesn't have a trailer out yet. They're not staying up at night going, oh my gosh, the movie's only 5 months away and we don't have a trailer yet. What's happening? Like, the average film-going fan isn't worried about it at all. Not at all. Not in the least are they worried about it. It's just that you and me, the 5% of us, that we follow this stuff on a daily basis and we keep our ears to the ground and blah, blah, blah. Listen, Hellboy's coming out. It doesn't have a trailer yet. There'll be a trailer for X-Men Dark Phoenix soon enough, but there's no need for there to be one yet. There's just no need for one yet. And like, the reality is, when it does come out, it's like anything else. Some people are going to like it. Some people are not going to like it. You don't put out a trailer to ease people's concerns. You put out a trailer when it meets the schedule of your marketing campaign. You don't put out trailers to ease people's concerns. You don't put out trailers for this. You put them out in accordance with your marketing plan. And if your marketing plan has putting out the first trailer in December, then put out the first trailer in December. Now, by the way, I read a report that they did show it recently at a Fox group, and that tells me that the trailer is actually probably coming fairly quickly. I'm going to guess within 7 days we're going to get our first trailer of Dark Phoenix. But if it doesn't, and it doesn't come till like late October, that's fine. They don't need to have one out right now. It's totally fine. And look, this movie's going to be great or it's going to suck, regardless of when the trailer comes out, right? So that's the thing, Patrick. No one's worried about it. No one's worried about it. No one in terms of the vast, vast majority of the movie going on. The average film goer, Bob and Susie, aren't sitting around in Starbucks over the latte going, oh my God, I'm starting to really get worried about Dark Phoenix because we haven't seen a trailer yet. Those conversations are not happening. They're not happening yet. It'll come soon enough. And again, it won't affect whether the movie's great or not. Or whether it sucks or not, right? Ben Rayner writes, no beauty, just the beast. I don't know what that's from. You caught me on that one. I don't know what that's a quote from. Angry Irish Benjamin writes, Zack Snyder's biggest flaw as DCU director was that he didn't understand what people wanted from a Superman film or a Batman one for that matter. People will forgive many things, but not that. I disagree. Sorry, Angry Irish. I'm people. He gave me exactly what I wanted from Superman. Are you saying I don't count? Me and a hell of a lot of people love that Superman that he gave us. Do we not count? See, this is the thing that frustrates me about film fans, and we all do it. I'm guilty of it. You're guilty of it. We all do this. But it is frustrating when we catch ourselves doing this, is that we say, fans want this, when really what you're saying is, no, you want that. You don't speak for all the fans. Fans don't want Batman doing this. Speak for yourself. You're saying you don't want it because me and a hell of a lot of other people who are fans, we did want that. So don't pretend like you speak for the fans. You speak for you. The job of Zack Snyder, and any director for that matter, is not to give people what they want. It's to make the best movie possible. Otherwise, just put up polls, put up 50 different polls asking 50 different questions about your upcoming Aquaman movie. And then just take all those results and make your Aquaman movie based on that. And you're gonna get a piece of shit movie. I'm telling you right now, you make your Aquaman movie based on 100 questions you ask the public. What do you want? And you give 100 individual questions about different details about what this Aquaman movie can be. Then you take those 100 answers and make your movie around that. You will end up with a piece of shit movie. That's why artists are artists and audiences are audiences. I mean, we know what we like, but sometimes we don't know what we like. It's the job of the filmmaker to make the best movie possible. And a lot of times they make things that would go completely contrary to what we might have said we want the movie to be, and it ends up being our favorite thing ever, right? So I'm going to disagree with you, Angry Irish. Number one, he didn't understand what people wanted from Superman. That's not true because I'm a person. He gave me exactly what I wanted in my Superman. That and then some. A lot of stuff I wasn't expecting. A lot of stuff I wouldn't have thought I would like, he gave me and I loved it. And what people wanted in Batman, BS. He gave me what I wanted in Batman. I'm a person. I'm a fan member. I know a hell of a lot of people that agree with me and some that don't. But the problem that comes out of Zack Snyder's DC movies is the problem that comes out of a number of his other films. He struggles with character and narrative. He is one of the most purely talented visual storytellers in the business today. But he struggles sometimes, like he did with Sucker Punch. Gorgeous movie, terribly handled with narrative and character. And that, unfortunately, kind of lapped on to, even though I like Batman versus Superman, yeah, the character and narrative structures were not the strongest. And that's why people didn't like it. But there are some people who complain that, Batman killed people. Well, guess what? He kills people in the comic books too. Sorry. And he killed people in the Tim Burton movies too. Never heard you complain about that. But yeah, there were some people who didn't want him killing, but guess what? If they had liked the movie, that wouldn't have been an issue. The people who complain about Batman killing people, if they had liked the movie, that they would have overlooked that. They would have overlooked it because it's not all that important. The biggest problem that Zack Snyder brought to these movies was his handling of character and narrative. And I think that's ultimately what got him. Because guess what? Most average filmgoers didn't go in with a checkbox list of what Superman's supposed to be. They just went in to watch a movie. And they were either going to like the movie or not like the movie. Most average filmgoers did not walk into Batman versus Superman with a big checkbox list of all the things they want to see in their Batman. No, they just went in to watch a movie and let the movie come at them the way it is and decide if they like the movie or not. So I personally reject this notion that, oh, yes, Snyder did this. No, because some people wanted one thing. That's why you never listen to the audience, because the audience does not know, because there is no single audience voice. There just simply isn't. If you listen to one group of people, they'll all tell you, hey, everybody, the fans love Star Wars The Last Jedi. The fans love Star Wars The Last Jedi. But if you go and talk to another group of fans, they'll go, the fans hate Star Wars The Last Jedi. The fans hate Star Wars The Last Jedi. And then we as movie fans get confused. We go, why don't studios listen to the fans? Because there is no unified voice amongst the fans. There simply isn't. There simply isn't a unified voice amongst the fans. And if you ever pretend that you speak for the fans, then you're delusional. I do it, you do it, all of us as fans do it. We're all guilty of this, right? But yeah, look, no, he gave a lot of people the Superman they wanted. He gave a lot of people the Batman they wanted. But the fact of the matter is, the average movie-going audience did not walk into these movies with the checklist saying, you got to have Superman do this, and you got to have Superman do that, and you got to have Superman do this, and you got to have Superman say that, and you got to have Lois Lane say this, and you got to have, Jimmy Olsen do that. No, they don't walk in with a checklist. They just walked in to watch a movie. And if you make a good movie, to hell with the checklists, right? So I think the problem goes more to the core of things. But anyway, that's just my opinion on that. Factual Opinion writes, in Jurassic World 2, I really thought the clone little girl had dino DNA and would be able to control the Indoraptor. Silly? Yes, I know. Not so silly, Factual Opinion. I thought the same damn thing. I didn't think it would let her control the Indoraptor, but I thought it would manifest itself in some way. I swear to God, I'm watching that movie, and I thought for sure at some point an extra set of eyelids, we'd see the little girl's face and the camera come in, and we'd see her blink, and then an extra set of eyelids blink the opposite way. And we go, ah! I swear to God, I thought that was going to happen. Now, after the movie was over and they didn't go that way, I completely put that out of my mind. But I swear, Factual Opinion, you are not alone on that. My head went to the exact same stupid place. I thought, I don't know, like, the Indoraptor or the T-Rex would show back up and all she'd go, and claws would come out of her fingers, and now she's the apex predator dinosaur. I don't know. But you're not alone in that, because I kind of thought they might do the same thing. Izzy Alonso writes, thoughts on Bad Times at the El Royale? Well, I haven't seen the film. I think it looks stupid good, though. I'm very excited for it. And, it's crazy to me that this dude has not directed a movie since Cabin in the Woods. That Drew Goddard, because his name is always battered around. It's always in the news. It's blah, blah. He hasn't actually directed anything since Cabin in the Woods. It is crazy to think that, but I'm very excited for this movie. I can't wait to see it. Hector Jeter writes, was the double-bladed lightsaber criticized or praised back the first teaser for Episode 1, The Phantom Menace? Did it have the mixed reactions like Kylo's lightsaber? No, everybody was pretty stoked about that double-bladed lightsaber, and whoever this new dude was that we later learned was Darth Maul. Everybody loved the look of it. Dude, you have no idea. When The Phantom Menace was about to come out, like, I'm sorry, you think, for anybody who's old enough to remember when The Phantom Menace came out, you think people were really looking forward to Avengers Infinity War? Pshaw. It was nothing compared to the cultural phenomena and the way everybody was losing their damn bloody minds over this Phantom Menace coming out. It was the type of movie that people were remember, YouTube wasn't putting the trailers all over the place. People were going to movie theaters, buying tickets to movies they had no interest in seeing, just so they can go in and watch the Phantom Menace trailer. And then when the trailer was done, they left the theater. It was happening all over the country. All over the world. People would go into movie theaters, tell me which movies tonight are playing the Phantom Menace trailer. That one and that one, I'll take 2 tickets, please. And they were going and they were buying tickets. They were getting babysitters, driving 5 miles, getting parking, walking into a theater, buying tickets to a movie they had no intention of watching, sitting in the theater for 5 minutes to see the Phantom Menace trailer, and then they were going home just to watch a trailer. It is almost impossible to relay the type of hype, the type of excitement, the type of positive energy there was around the Phantom Menace coming out. And that first damn trailer was brilliant. That first Phantom Menace trailer was amazing. And everybody got excited and oh my God. So yes, man, everybody was stoked about the double-bladed lightsaber. Everybody was totally stoked about the double-bladed lightsaber. Let's see. R Squared Network writes, firstly, love what you do, man. Thank you so much, R Squared. You inspired me to start my own live movie fan show. That's awesome. Secondly, how about casting Denzel Washington as Magneto and setting his origin in the civil rights era? Well, we've been talking lately, like take Denzel out, because you know me, X-actor playing X role, I don't care as long as it's a good actor. But we've been talking about how one of the problems that they're going to face is that Magneto, with his epic, all-time great backstory coming out of the concentration camps as a kid and blah, blah, and how that shaped him and it hardened him against humanity and the whole bit. You can't do that anymore because now Magneto's going to be 90 plus, right? What about, so forget the Denzel name, the notion of maybe a character coming out of the civil rights movement. That's intriguing. That's intriguing. I could get on board with that. Like some young kid who saw his parents beaten to death by police for just marching or something. Yeah, because therein lies the same effect you get from a Magneto coming out of the concentration camps, right? Kid who gets hardened, mad at the world, hates humanity, time for humanity to go, it's time for mutants to rise, and mutants will have a fair and just society, and blah, blah. So take Denzel out of it, and that's an intriguing, and it doesn't have to be that specific one either. You could find other injustices from like 30 years ago to kind of model around that, or 50 years ago, whatever, to model around that. It's an interesting idea. I like it. I dig it. I don't know that that's what they're doing, but it's certainly an intriguing option, so I like that. Let's see. I'm upset, writes, thoughts on the Ice Cube Friday trilogy. Love the first one with Chris Tucker. The other two were shit in my opinion. What are the chances of a fourth one? I also like the first one. I know I saw the other two, and I couldn't tell you one lick about them. I know I saw the other two, and I could not tell you one single thing about them. So, yeah, they're kind of forgettable. Those other two, for sure. A chance of a fourth one? Yeah, always a chance. Look, Ice Cube likes to stay busy. He hasn't done a whole hell of a lot lately. I could totally see them doing it. Actually, I'm not kidding. I've got a little itch in the back of my brain telling me that maybe they've already said they were going to do it. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But if they haven't, I could totally see it happening someday, sometime. So we'll have to wait and see. John Demoto writes, I'm glad DC is redoing Joker. I didn't care much for the Jared Leto Joker. His was cringe-inducingly bad. I liked it. It's all subjective. I respect that you didn't like it. That's totally cool. Not everything's going to work for everybody. All I can say is that it worked for me. I had fun with it. I thought, especially because remember me going into it, I wanted to see a unique vision of the Joker, unlike anything we'd ever seen before, yet still clearly the Joker. And that's not an easy task. And I liked his Joker. As a matter of fact, I like Joker more than I liked most of the movie, and I think it would have been a better movie, Suicide Squad, had there been more Joker and Harley in it. I really do. And I think some people, I'm not saying you're doing this, John, not at all, but I think there are some people who didn't like the movie and then by association don't like Jared Leto's Joker because it's in a movie they didn't like. Therefore, I don't like that. But I did. I like the Joker in thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. Nowhere near, not Jack's Joker. Nowhere near Heath Ledger's Joker. No, nothing like that. But I respected it. I thought it was a solid outing as a Joker. So let's see how we all think of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Hector Riaz writes, Inception, my top 5 of all time. Your thoughts? No, I mean, I like Inception. I like Inception very much. Solid, good movie. One of the more solid Christopher Nolan films. Excellent movie. Like it a lot. Probably not my top 20 myself. And I've always thought it was very much a cop-out ending. But who cares? That was just the last 5 seconds. That doesn't change how I feel about the rest of the movie. But it's a great movie. It's a solid, great movie. Not my top 20 favorite of all time, but a solid, great movie for sure. Dakota Barber writes, rewatching the show Fargo on Hulu. Have you seen it? So great. Now, that's one of the shows I've never watched. Again, I don't have a lot of time for TV. But Fargo is one of those ones that a lot of people tell me you need to see and that you need to watch. So one of these days, once I'm caught up on my viewing list, that might be when I start watching it. I'll probably start binging that at some point. Chris Warden writes, Fox's current deal with Marvel stipulates that they must have an X-Men film in production every so many years in order to keep the film rights. My question is, does Deadpool film count as an X-Men film? Yes. Because Deadpool is part of that whole package of X-Men characters. So even if there wasn't this impending merger and all this kind of stuff that most likely will go through, even if that wasn't the case, Fox would still keep it because, yes, Deadpool does count towards that X-Men thing. That is part of it because he's part of that package of characters. So, yes, that would have reset the clock. I'm Upset writes, where's the Vince McMahon biopic? I think it would be a very, very difficult one to do. I think I've always suspected there would be problems with it because I think there's going to be a lot of filmmakers that will only do it if they could tell certain stories. And I don't believe, Vince McMahon will give permission to do the movie if they tell those stories. And so I just don't know. We might have to wait until, we might have to wait till 30 years when Vince isn't with us anymore, that they tell the Vince McMahon story and his estate allows certain stories to be told. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm speculating like a fan, but I've always wondered that would be a problem. I've always thought any filmmaker with any integrity is probably going to want to tell some of the darker side stories, some of the darker side of Vince McMahon. And Vince may not allow that to happen, in which case they're not going to do it. So I don't know. I don't know. As a fan, I just don't know where it is at this point. All I have is my speculation right now. Okay. Let's see. Where am I? Punto Baby 1 writes, have you ever seen Babylon AD? Oh, the Vin Diesel movie. Yes. The PG-13 version is bad, but the R-rated version is okay. The PG-13 took out key story parts. And the original ending. Yeah, look, I'm a big fan of Vin Diesel. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of Vin Diesel. I like him a lot. That is not one of my more favorite Vin Diesel projects. And it just, scene by scene, it just never was coherent. It was never a together film to me. So to me, it just didn't kind of work. That's where I'm at. Every scene by scene, it just never worked. There was just something not right about the film to me all the way through, and adding a couple of scenes here or there, that's not going to change it for me, because my problem was the overall DNA of the movie itself, so having a little bit of a different ending or adding a couple scenes here and there isn't going to change the fact that I still didn't like a lot of this other stuff. So yeah, but anyway, Michelle Yeoh, I believe Michelle Yeoh was in that, and I love Michelle Yeoh. So yeah, so I got to see two of my favorite people. I got to see Vin Diesel and Michelle Yeoh in a movie together. Unfortunately, I didn't love the movie, but hey, whatever. You can't love them all. Let's see. Mike Hill writes, theory for Avengers 4. Current time, Cap dies, so they have to go back in time to get the old Cap from Avengers 1. That's why everyone is old except Captain Pick. No. because that ignores the fact that they already have they would go back in time to save any one person then. They're trying to save the disappearance of half the universe, not just one guy dying, right? They don't create the ability to time travel to save one guy, right? So for that reason, no, I don't buy that. I don't buy that they're just going back in time to save Cap and Cap dies. And because if they were going to have Captain America dead, he would have died. I think they would have had him die in Avengers 3. I don't think you're going to have him survive Avengers 3 just to have Captain America in a car accident crossing the crosswalk in Avengers 4 and then go, oh no, we don't have Cap. Let's go back in time and save it. Like, I don't think they do that. To me, that just doesn't make sense. So, hey man, we've seen stranger things happen, but if you're asking me what I think of that, I don't. No, I wouldn't put my money on that one. I wouldn't put my money on that one, Mike. Hector Jeter, I lost Hector Jeter. And there we go. Hector Jeter writes, I want to let you know how much I look forward to your shows. Oh, thanks so much, Hector. I appreciate all the content and positive, open discussions we have as film fans. Well, thank you so much, man. And you know what? And thank you to all of you guys who watch and to all of you guys who send in the questions and allow me to be able to be a part of this film community. So thank you, and I appreciate that. And it's just a great thing. I look forward to doing this every day. So thank you to Hector. I really appreciate you sharing that, and thanks for supporting the channel the way you do. Anti-Chatter, Anime News, Anime Podcasts, Anime Shows, Anime writes, you have inspired me to make videos. I will be making vids on transforming my body into Shazam. I'm overweight, and the catch is to go as Shazam for the premiere episode. Will go up every Friday on my channel. Love you, John. By premiere episode, I think you mean the movie premiere. That is an awesome idea. That is an awesome idea. I'm going to watch those videos, man, and I'm going to cheer you on. That's a great reason. That's a great idea for two reasons. Reason number one, I love on YouTube being able to follow real people's stories. And this thing of you in like engaging in this, journey of self-improvement, whatever, that's awesome. That's great. The second reason I think it's great is just from a personal goal point of view, you are now holding yourself accountable by doing videos every week. Because if you want to binge eat for 4 or 5 days straight, I got to make a video on Friday and I got to hold myself accountable to everybody who's watching me. So I think on two different levels, you just had a brilliant idea, Anti-Chatter. I think that's a great notion, great goal. And the fact that you incorporate your movie love into it, like with Shazam and making Shazam, the release date, your target, I think that's wonderful. Just stay realistic. Understand you're awesome the way you are, and you're only doing this because you want to do it, not because society's telling you to do it, but because you want to do it for you. That's great. Understand you're awesome the way you are, and stay realistic. Don't think you're going to go from 300 pounds to 110 pounds in 6 months. Don't do that. Be realistic, set realistic goals. And outside that, man, I think that's a great idea. So go you. That's an awesome idea. Koba writes, do you think we will see a young Tom Riddle, a.k.a. Voldemort, in the Fantastic Beasts movie? Oh, I would think so. I mean, I certainly haven't been told that. I don't know that. But it seems to make sense that you would. I mean, doesn't it? Understanding the background of Tom Riddle and when he gets his start and all that kind of stuff, you'd think it's something, maybe not in this movie. Maybe not in Crimes of Grindelwald. But in an upcoming one? Let's put it this way, Koba. I would be really surprised if they didn't. So not only do I think we will, I would be shocked if we didn't. It seems like it would be a little bit of a missed opportunity to not do that. Now, you don't want to make it an entire prequel with Tom Riddle. You don't want to pull an Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars The Phantom Menace with Tom Riddle. But to at least meet the character and be introduced to him, yeah, I would think they would do that. It seems to make sense to me at any rate. Jacob Silvers writes, when will you review the Spider-Man cutscene movie? Probably when I have a chance to sit down. Well, look, I found it. It looks like it's about 7 hours long. So I'm not sure. I'm also working very hard to get this new thing of mine off the ground that I haven't been able to talk about openly yet. but hopefully soon. It's just that it's very daunting to have to watch a 7-hour thing, but hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. Let's see. Stubble McShave writes, actor playing Biff is Tom Wilson. Yes, that's right. And he is a stand-up comedian. You're right. I remember one of the first things. Okay. What was the name of the video game movie that, oh, damn it. Give me a second here. Give me a second. The one that Freddie Prinze Jr. is in. The video game movie that Freddie Prinze Jr. was in. I know he's going to be completely upset that I'm not remembering the name of the movie. It was the video game movie he was in. It was a very popular video game back in the 90s. Let me just see if I can find it here. It's not Scooby-Doo, Summer Catch. Wing Commander. Wing Commander. Okay, so I remember in Wing Commander, the video game, a lot of you guys won't remember it, but in Wing Commander, the video game, I believe Mark Hamill was in it, but Tom Wilson, the guy who played Biff, was in the game as well, and he was hilarious in the game. It was one of these games that had like live cutscenes and stuff like that with actors, like not animation, but like actors and stuff, and it was amazing. And he was great in it. If you haven't seen it, I don't know if you can find it on YouTube or not, but if you can, look it up. See if you can find Tom Wilson Wing Commander and find some of those cutscenes because his character was very, very funny in it. John Harrison writes, John, the Captain Marvel trailer, the suit isn't green or animated. Great start. Yeah, it's not animated. Great start. That sounds like something that, of course, Ryan Reynolds would say. Yeah, I like, and clearly it's not the same costume we saw in those old pictures. That was a very non-fitting costume. Those are all just costume tests. I think the costumes look great. And I'll look forward to seeing the second trailer. But yes, at least it's not animated. That is the right start. All right, Ben Rayner writes, Biff in Legends of Tomorrow as Nate's dad. Oh, is that who he's playing? Okay. I knew he was coming up in some kind of superhero property at some point. I just couldn't remember exactly which one it was. Maybe that's exactly what I was thinking of. Thanks for sharing that, Ben. Martin Valak writes, hello, John. My first time sending a super chat. Well, thank you so much, Martin. I appreciate that, man. Very excited for the Joker. I'm interested to know who's going to replace Alec Baldwin as Thomas Wayne. Well, they already did replace him. It's an actor. Hold a second. I was just reading about him recently, too. The actor's name is Brett Cullen. Now, Brett has appeared in by the way, he appeared as like some sort of government guy in The Dark Knight Rises. So, obviously, it's a different universe. But it's just, I thought it was kind of funny, though, is that he played Barton Blaze in Ghost Rider. He was in Person of Interest for a couple years. He was in that football movie, The Replacements. Not a big famous actor whose name you would recognize just like that, but that is who they got to replace Alec Baldwin as Thomas Wayne. Once again, his name is Brett Cullen, so you can go check that out. And thank you for the question, Martin. I appreciate that. Levi Road writes, who wins in MMA, Brock or The Rock? Oh, Brock. Yeah, Brock, easy. Easy. Brock Lesnar trained his whole life in combat sports. That's what Brock has done his whole life. He was a world elite level wrestler. I'm not talking about WWE wrestling. I mean actual combat sport wrestling, which is why he transitioned so well into MMA and became the UFC heavyweight champion at one point. So who wins in MMA? Like, The Rock's amazing, but The Rock and just about any other human being that's not a professional MMA fighter would get their asses handed to them by Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is legit. Like Daniel Cormier is going to destroy him, but make no mistake about it, Brock Lesnar is one of the most savage, baddest men on the planet. Other than a handful of UFC, MMA trained heavyweight champions, there are very, very, very few, if any, human beings in this world you could put in a lock cage with Brock Lesnar and they're going to come walking out. Very few. He would, any other mortal man like The Rock, he would destroy The Rock. I love me Dwayne The Rock Johnson, but that's no contest. Alec Bose writes, Bonjour from Edmonton, Canada. I love Edmonton. I used to drive into Edmonton. My buddy lives in Edmonton. My buddy Kurt and his wife live in Edmonton, or just outside Edmonton. Lifelong Edmonton Oilers fans. He'd let me drive out there because he would get Oilers seasons tickets, and I used to drive out there every once in a while from Saskatoon out to Edmonton. He'd take me to a couple of games. I really like Edmonton. It's a great city. In Cineplex, as a monopoly of theaters, most of them have one or two good AVX/IMAX or VIP screens. December, we have a load of box office. How will they decide who gets on those screens? No idea. No, that's up to Cineplex. Whatever they think is going to make them the most money. Or whichever, studio that makes a deal with them to put them on their best screens. And it's just going to, one way or the other, it's going to come down to business. Whether from deals that they make with the individual studios, because like every studio has theater relations, they're called exhibitor relations. In the industry, movie theaters are called exhibition, right? So every studio has like presidents and vice presidents of exhibitor relations. Like it's their job specifically to deal with the movie theaters. And they're the ones who make the deals with their movies getting into their theaters, how many screens it's on, yada, 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 yada. So it's probably going to be somewhere in those deals, whichever, studio puts up the best deal to have their movie on the best screens. That's probably what it'll come down to. But again, I don't work for Cineplex, never have, so I don't know how they're going to handle that. But either way, man, there's going to be a lot of movies to see. A lot of movies to see in December, my friend. So merci beaucoup, mon ami. Robert Perez writes, are they showing too much Joker too soon? I was wondering about that the other day. Do you need to be showing all this stuff? But I guess they just really wanted to get it out there that this is a thing that's happening. They're not marketing the movie. They're just letting everybody know, because I think there's still a big sense of doubt out there that this was actually going to happen. And I feel like this is just them putting out some stuff. They're going, hey, everybody, this is really happening. And this is being shot as we speak. This is real stuff that is going on right now. We are shooting this movie. So to me, it's just an awareness thing saying, guys, this movie's coming. It really is. And now, if they keep putting out new pictures and footage every week for the next year, yeah, that's going to be overdoing it. But I have a feeling they're going to go quiet here pretty soon. I think we're getting our first look at these pictures. They're giving us a glimpse of what's going to be, and it's just them raising awareness. Honestly, I suspect maybe they'll show us one or two more things, and then they're going to go quiet for 6 months. For 6 months, we won't hear anything, and then about 6 months before the movie comes out, they'll start to get their marketing machine rolling again. So, yeah, I think right now it's fine, as long as they don't continue, but I really do expect we're going to be hitting a quiet period for a while. Let's see. Koa1708 writes, how did Luke trained to be a Jedi? How did he become so powerful and able to train others as well? I thought Jedi was trained for years. I mean, look, that's the Force. The Force. The Force just worked through him. It's funny. I used to get into all these debates and people finally stopped debating me on it. It's like, how can Rey do anything in the Force? She hasn't had any training. Luke had no training. Luke had a short car trip, a little road trip in the Millennium Falcon with Ben where he did some exercises with a blast shield, and then he hung out for a weekend with Yoda. For a weekend. Don't talk to me about, oh, Rey had no training. The Force just worked through her, man. The Force did what the Force is going to do. Normally, yes, in Star Wars history, what would happen is a young child would be identified at a very young age as being Force sensitive. The Jedi would take them to Coruscant to train them at the Jedi Temple and set them on a lifelong path to be Jedis. That was the normal way of things. And then the Jedi became extinct. And so the Force started to work again. And it started to move in Luke Skywalker. And who met Ben? Ben is just kind of pointed him towards the Force, and that was it. He just became the most powerful Jedi of all time. Why? Because of the Force. I understand how much of a cop-out that sounds like. I get it. I do. But that's the way it is in that mythology. It always makes me giggle a little bit when everybody who wants to complain about the lack of training that Rey has But they'll totally overlook and forgive the fact that, hey, all Jedis trained from childhood to adulthood, and then once they became adults, then they would face their trial. Then once facing their trial, then they became a Jedi Knight. Over the span of 20 years of training. But with Luke, they'll just totally overlook it with Luke. Just totally Luke. No, Rey had no training. Well, what about Luke? Oh, let's not talk about Luke. It's just, yeah. The answer for both Rey and Luke is the Force. That's really all I got. Just the Force had to bring balance to itself, right? So it moved more powerfully through Luke. And then when it needed to do it again, it moved more powerfully through Rey. So that's all I got for you, man. But hey, listen, dude, it's a totally fair question to ask. It is a totally fair question to ask. All right. Jimmy Anderson writes, just got time for a few more questions here, guys. Jimmy Anderson writes, do you agree with me that EA has lost their touch with sports games the last 10 years? It's basically the same game over and over again, Madden as well. Well, I mean, I don't know, because look, if you have the best game, and Madden's the best game, football game, if you already do it the best, and every year it's just about making it better and better and better. I mean, I don't know. I mean, can we say they've lost their touch? I'm not sure. Like, I've got a bunch of buddies of mine who every year, it's like clockwork. They just count down the days to getting the next Madden. They want to play the next Madden, blah, 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 right? So, I don't know. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that you're wrong, Jimmy. I'm not going to say that because I don't know. I'm not plugged in enough with console gaming to really know. But I just know that the friends I have are still very excited about EA's titles. So maybe you're right. But again, I'm the wrong guy to ask, though, unfortunately. Brett Buckles writes, have you seen A New Hope trailer done on anime? It's a must-watch for Star Wars fans. Yeah, I saw it. It's cute. It's cute. I didn't lose my mind over it. I thought, it's cute. It's Star Wars, just done in anime. And that's all it is. It's a Star Wars trailer with the exact Star Wars lines, but done in anime. It's cute. I'll be honest, I didn't think there was anything revolutionary about it. I didn't consider it a must watch, but I had a lot of people putting it on my Twitter feed, man. A lot of people were tweeting me, John, oh my God, have you seen this? And writing me this stuff, right? It's like, oh, can't wait to watch it. And watch it. It's like, okay, so there's nothing unique about it. It's just Star Wars. A couple of scenes from Star Wars just done in an animation style. It's the same dialogue, same line, same everything. It's just an anime. Like, here's what I got more excited about. Did you guys see that anime thing that got put out, told from the perspective of TIE fighter pilots? Have you guys seen that? Oh my God, see, that's crazy because it's something new. It's something different that we haven't seen before, right? And it's done with this music and done in this wicked style, and it's told from the perspective of the Imperial pilots. And it's really, really great. And it's new, so it's kind of like something I've never seen before. And to me, like, that was a must-watch. And it's done in anime style. That's a must-watch. The trailer, it's good. It's cute. I'm glad I saw it. I like it. But I'm not losing my mind over it. It's just a few scenes from Star Wars with the dialogue, but done in anime style. It's cute, but I didn't get much more of it other than that. Kyle Brackman writes, so you care about continuity in media. I have no idea what you're talking about, Kyle. Sorry. Twy Griff writes, just finished Miss Maisel, heart-smashing and funny. Guys, the show on Amazon Prime, The Marvelous Miss Maisel, or The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, it just won all the Emmys. It won Best Comedy, Best Actress, Best Director, Best Writing. It won 8 Emmys. It is all that. It is the best comedy on TV today. In the world where Parks and Rec is no longer on TV, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is the best comedy on TV. Period. End stop. Of course, it's all subjective, but I'm just saying, to me, no question, the best comedy on TV. And I had no desire to watch it. And Ann and I, last Christmas, we were up in Canada and we were in the room my parents set aside for us. And Ann's got this show on Amazon. She's just laughing and laughing. She goes, honey, you've got to come watch this show with me. I'm like, what is it? She goes, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I said, yeah, I heard about that. It's like, really? It's good? She goes, oh my God, we're going to start this episode over. And she starts it over and we binged the whole thing that week. Guys, watch The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. You'll love it. So thanks for bringing that up, Twigov. MSP. Where do we go? MSP Wellness Rates. Hey there, John. A longtime fan. Thank you so much, MSP. New Patreon supporter. Double thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Bumblebee has really surprised me. Love the Gen 1s. Hope this is a soft reboot. It really does kind of feel like it might be, but even then, see, some people are saying, oh, if Bumblebee does well, maybe they won't. My understanding is they're still going to full reboot Transformers in a few years. That's my understanding. Now, could be wrong. Things may have changed. But my understanding is they're still going to actually reboot this thing. But it looks like they're treating this, at least on the surface, it looks like they're treating this Bumblebee movie the way Fox treats X-Men movies. Continuity, schmontinuity. Just go make a great movie. I'll tell you what, though, man. When those G1 characters came up, I went from already smiling to grinning like an idiot watching it. And Shockwave came. First of all, I never thought we'd see Shockwave. I know the one gave us a version of Shockwave. No. But I mean the real Shockwave. And I'm like, ah! And then they showed Optimus Prime. And I'm like, ah! And then they showed Soundwave with his cassette deck opening and Ravage coming out. I mean, I almost passed out. I'm just so completely excited I nearly passed out, right? So, yeah, I don't know if this is going to be a soft reboot so much as maybe it's just them going continuity, schmontinuity like Fox does with X-Men. Either way, I'm excited about Knight directing it. I'm excited about the vision he's bringing to it. And let's see how this thing turns out. All right. Stubble McShave writes, people were also camping in the streets to see the Phantom Menace. Oh, dude, I was even there. Seriously. I remember I was living in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. And the camping, people were camped out for 4 and 5 days. I remember in downtown Saskatoon, where the biggest movie theater was, the lineup started 4 or 5 days early for the camp out to buy Star Wars tickets. Because back then you couldn't buy them online. You had to be there at the theater to buy them. In the olden days, in this archaic way of doing things. And there would people line up with tents. And I remember my buddy got there and he was 4th in line. So we went, set up tents. And I was there for the first few days, but then I left because me and some other friends were driving across the country to go back to Toronto, or specifically to Hamilton, so we could watch The Phantom Menace in Hamilton at my favorite movie theater. But I participated in the campout. Even though I didn't buy tickets, I participated in the campout. But yeah, man, it was people just don't get that anymore. Because now you hop on Fandango or AMC or whatever, and you buy your tickets in advance online, know what seat you're getting. It's the golden age of movie going now. But back then, dude, you wanted to see a trailer? You had to go to the movies to see a trailer. You want to get your tickets? You had to go stand in line to buy your tickets. And when it was Star Wars, you had to camp out for days to get those tickets. It was a different era, dude. Totally different era. Thanos the Mad Titan writes, John, if a studio can spend $100+ million making a movie, then why don't they spend a bit more and do the distribution themselves rather than paying another company to do it for them? Well, because distribution is a whole different ballgame. Distribution is a totally different deal. Now, the fact of the matter is, the major studios that are big enough do have their own distribution arms. Paramount is a production studio and they are a distributor. Warner Brothers is a production company and they are a distribution company. Universal produces films and they distribute films. Disney has their own distribution company. So a lot of the big major houses are both distributors and production companies. But it is a massive thing to be a distribution company. And quite frankly, a lot of these production companies don't have the resources to also implement their own exhibition or their own distribution chains. It's a massive deal. It's a huge, huge thing. But a lot of the big major houses have their own distribution networks already. So that's already in place for a lot of them. But like I said, most movies don't come from them, so they need to get leveraged as distribution. So that's kind of how it runs. All right. Adam Beavers writes, great show, enjoying listening. Thank you so much, Adam. This would be a great time for DC to reboot. Use the new Joker movie for the starting point. Your thoughts? Well, the Joker movie is being treated as, from beginning to end, a standalone one-shot story. That is how they're approaching it. Let's not forget the whole reason Joaquin Phoenix walked away from Doctor Strange is because he would not sign a multi-film deal. Joaquin Phoenix has never done a sequel. I don't think he ever will do a sequel. So, no, they are approaching, and look, to now suddenly take the Joker and say, this is going to be the beginning of our new universe, that kind of undermines the whole spirit of why they were making this movie in the first place. They're making this movie to show you can do true standalone one-shot movies and tell great stories as one-shot standalone movies. The whole reason they're doing this Joker movie is to get away from the notion that everything has to be in a shared cinematic universe. The best movies of all time are not in shared cinematic universes. Right? So why do we have this fallacy that, oh, if you're doing a comic book movie, it only has any value if it's in a shared cinematic universe? No. Part of the spirit of this movie being made in the first place is to go against that grain and to show we can make great stories, standalone movies that are one-shot movies. So I don't think you break the spirit of that and now leverage this movie as the launching of a new cinematic universe, right? And I'm very excited because as much as I love comic book movies and the shared cinematic universes, I have been lamenting for like 7 years the notion that we just don't get truly standalone superhero movies anymore. I don't understand why it has to be an either or. I'm not saying I want us to get rid of the shared cinematic universes, not at all. But why does it mean that every bloody frickin' movie has to be in a shared cinematic universe? It is so limiting. It so confines imagination and creativity. And so, yeah, I'm like, no, man, just, if this movie is great, then it just opens the door for more standalone, isolated movies to tell great, creative, wonderful stories. And so on top of the fact that Joaquin Phoenix isn't interested in doing sequels and being in franchises and things like that anyway. So, yeah, I don't think that's the way they would go. Now watch now, Adam. That's exactly what they're going to do. Now they're going to come out and do exactly that. Stranger things have happened, but I would think not. I would think not at this point. But that's just me. All right. Let's see here. SF at eCat writes, I watched Big Sick because of you and wasn't disappointed. Keep up the good work. I love when you suggest films. I never know what to watch. Dude, Big Sick is another one of those things. You know what? Truth. Last place I worked at, we got contacted by the studio and asked, hey, we've got this little movie we've done. It's called The Big Sick. It's got Kumail Nanjiani, but it's got Ray Romano in it, and it's got a few other people. Would you be interested in having our cast come in and you can talk to them and interview them and promote our movie? It's like, I don't know if we want to take time to do that, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, then we thought about doing it, and then we were never able to make the schedule work out, so that's fine. Fast forward now, 2 months after that. Big Sick hits theaters. Me and my buddy and his girlfriend go to watch it. I was floored. That movie is so good. It's funny and heartfelt, and it'll make you, if you're not already a Kumail Nanjiani fan, it will make you one. He's so, and just knowing that it's actually a true story about him and his wife. It's crazy good. If you haven't seen it, listen to S. Fatty Cat and watch it. Because I guarantee everything's subjective. I can't guarantee it. But I'm almost guaranteeing you will love it. So make sure you check that out. All right. Nathan Oswald writes, watching Twister last night. Oh, Twister. And almost teared up remembering that Bill Paxton is gone from us. Yeah, Bill Paxton. You know, he so quietly went about being in some of the greatest films of all time. His role in my all-time favorite action film, my all-time number one favorite action film, is True Lies. And his role, it's pathetic. His role in that, so funny. Him in Aliens, so funny. I mean, got him in Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow, so good. He was just always great. Then he was in Titanic. I mean, this guy is one of the quietest guys to be in some of the biggest, best motion pictures in history. And it was Bill Paxton. He was in a lot of them. Just very quietly went about his business. He was so good. I don't know that Twister was one of my favorite Bill Paxton movies, but you're right. It always sucks when you remember that he's gone and not with us anymore. Stubble McShave writes, have you seen Dolph Lundgren's third Dan Yoku Shinkai demonstration where he breaks 6 stacks of ice pieces? I have not. But he is a majorly educated dude and a legit martial artist, so it doesn't surprise me, but I have not seen that video yet. I'll have to check that out at some point. And he's just a physical beast. I mean, I'm watching him in Arrow, and he's still like this physically massive, intimidating dude. Nathan Oswald writes, which is more likely, National Treasure 3 or Beverly Hills Cop 4? I will say Beverly Hills Cop 4. I think there's still probably some kind of a possibility that a Beverly Hills Cop 4 would happen. I don't think there's any possibility that a National Treasure 3 happens. I really don't. I don't think there's any possibility. Hopefully I'm wrong, and anything can happen, but I would, if I had to put $5 on it, I would bet that we get a Beverly Hills Cop 4 before National Treasure 3. All right. Final question of the day comes to us from Marie Seifring, who writes, has it ever been confirmed that Cate Blanchett, Tessa Thompson, Chris Hemsworth, and Rocket Raccoon were all seen filming together at Durham Cathedral last year? I keep reading theories about what it might mean for Avengers 4. Well, Marie, all I can tell you is that I have never heard anything that even sounded legitimate to me about that. Cate Blanchett. I mean, Hella's dead. So I don't know. No, I have never even heard this thing, let alone anything legit that goes along with it. Again, anything is possible. Chris Hemsworth and Rocket, first of all, how would anybody know if Rocket Raccoon was being filmed? Because you just wouldn't know if it was Rocket Raccoon or not. They don't have a little Rocket Raccoon puppet that goes along with it, right? They've actually Rocket Raccoon, you know who has played Rocket Raccoon? Not Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper goes into the sound booth and gives his voice to it. But the guy who plays it was actually James Gunn's brother. James Gunn's brother is the guy who has done the physical mocap for Rocket Raccoon, at least the physical stand-in for Rocket Raccoon. He can't do much, obviously, but he's always the guy on set. So I haven't heard anything about that, so I really can't speak to any legitimacy about it or if there is any legitimacy to it. So, but I'll tell you what, Marie, I will definitely keep my eyes open for something like that because if we do hear anything about that, that's legitimate, and I doubt it, but if we do, you'll be the first to know, and we'll talk about it right away. All right, guys, that will do it for me for this installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much for being here and allowing me to be a part of your day, guys. Don't forget, tomorrow, the John Campea Show is back at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time in the morning. I look forward to seeing you guys then. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Have an awesome rest of your day. My name's John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.